So, you're hoping to bring an elderly parent or relative over to Australia. You've probably come across the age-dependent relative visa, the Subclass 114, and thought, wow, that looks complicated, but you know what? It doesn't have to be. In this explainer, we're going to break down the official government guide into a really simple, clear roadmap to help you and your family navigate the whole thing.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we'll get a handle on what this visa actually is. Then we'll dive into how you prepare your application and gather all those documents. After that, we'll walk through the application journey itself. And finally, what to expect when it's time for the final decision. Let's get started.
Okay, before we even think about touching a single form, it's absolutely crucial to understand the basics. What is this visa really, and who is it actually designed for? Getting this right from the very beginning is the key to not wasting your time, your money, and your energy on an application that just might not be the right fit. So, at its heart, the Subclass 114 is a permanent visa. But, and this is a big but, it's for a very specific type of person. We're talking about a single, older individual who is financially dependent on their relative in Australia. And that financial reliance part, that's not just a small detail. It's the absolute cornerstone of this entire application.
Now we're getting into the prep phase. Honestly, think of this part as building the foundation for your house. If you get these first few steps right, you're going to prevent some major headaches and delays later on. And with a long process like this one, trust me, every bit of preparation counts.
All right, 2 super important things to check off your list before you do anything else. First, the applicant's passport. Now, you can apply even if it's about to expire, but you must have a valid passport when the visa is actually granted. So go check those dates right now. Second, if you decide to get help, make sure it's from a registered migration agent. This is so important to protect yourself from getting bad advice. Okay, deep breath. Now for the part that, let's be honest, is often the most challenging piece of the puzzle, gathering all of your documents. This is where you're building the factual case for your application. In a system that runs on paperwork, your attention to detail here is literally everything. So to make this feel a little less like a giant paper monster, the government kind of breaks it all down into 4 main buckets. You'll need documents to prove your identity and character, stuff for your sponsor's eligibility, evidence of your relationship, and, you guessed it, that all-important proof of your financial dependency. Let's dig into what that actually means. And you might be thinking, it's just an ID. How serious can it be? Well, the Department of Home Affairs puts it in pretty stark terms. As you can see right here, failing to prove your identity could lead to a 10-year ban on getting other visas. That just shows how seriously they take this for you and anyone else included in your application. Okay, let's talk about your sponsor. They play a massive role in all of this. They have to be over 18 and already settled in Australia. They also need to be an Australian citizen, a permanent resident, or an eligible New Zealand citizen. And on top of that, they have their own form to fill out, Form 40, which is their official declaration of sponsorship. And here we are again, back at that crucial point, proving financial dependency. You basically need to create a rock-solid paper trail that shows your sponsor has been consistently supporting your basic living needs. We're talking food, housing, that sort of thing. Things like bank statements showing transfers, receipts from money wires, or rent receipts paid by your sponsor, that's the gold standard of evidence right there. Think of this as your final quality control checklist before you put everything together. For every single document, you've got to ask, do I have the right kind of photos? Is it translated into English if it needs to be? Is it properly certified? And for your own sanity, have you kept a copy for yourself? A document isn't really done until you can say yes to all 4 of them. Okay, you've gathered all your documents, you've checked them, you've double-checked them. Now it's time for the big moment. This is when all that preparation turns into an official submission that finally enters the government system. Actually sending it off is basically a 3-step dance. You'll complete the main form, which is Form 47OF. You'll pay that first fee online and make sure to print out the receipt. Then you put the whole package together and send it by post or courier. And this part is critical. You must mail it. There's no online or in-person option for this application. So you've mailed the package, you've been tracking it, you see it's been delivered, and then silence. The waiting begins. This can be a really anxious time. So let's pull back the curtain and talk about what's actually happening behind the scenes and what you should expect to happen next.
So here's a pretty interesting twist. Even though you sent in a mountain of paper, the management of your application actually moves online. First, you'll get a letter saying they've received everything. You'll use the details in that letter to link your case to an online ImmiAccount. That account becomes your digital hub for tracking progress, uploading extra documents if they ask for them, and updating your details. Then it's a waiting game until they contact you for things like health exams.
And that brings us to the very last step of this long journey. After months, or sometimes even years, of preparing and waiting, the Department of Home Affairs will finally deliver its decision on your application.
At the end of the day, it's going to go one of two ways. If the visa is granted, fantastic news, you'll get that in writing and can start planning your move to Australia. On the flip side, if it's refused, you'll get a written explanation telling you why, and you'll be told if you have the right to an appeal. And it's really important to know that if it's refused, that application fee is not refunded.
So, we've broken this all down into steps and forms and technical details, but the real key to success here is remembering that this is a shared family journey. It takes incredible patience from the applicant and a lot of diligence from the sponsor. So the final question really isn't just about getting the paperwork right. It's about whether your family is truly prepared together to see this long process all the way through to the end.